Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, where inspired women talk about the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness. We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory.
We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way. If you desire to integrate this learning practically and supportively into your life, then Soul-Driven Motherhood is your space to go deeper. Head on over to nourishingthemother.com.au or follow any of the links on our socials for Soul-Driven Motherhood.
We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we're so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is Finding Strength in Conflict, of which both Bridget and I find ourselves traversing. And we know the universal rule is always going to be, if it's going on for us, it is going on for you. And that's kind of what we love about the enmeshed entanglement that is humanity and consciousness and this podcast. So today we're taking conversation into the land of conflict and how you handle yourself and how you find who you are in an integrated and embodied way in the space of conflict. We hope it's really useful to you. Before we do that, we would love to remind you to jump onto nourishingthemother.com.au and scroll on down to the red banner where you drop in your email address. And once every so often, we're going to send you out a little email with everything that's happening in the world with just a click away that you can dive deeper or re-listen or jump in or do whatever it is. So if you would really love to nourish your inner mother a little bit more, then our community is the place to be it you're jumping into Soul-Driven Motherhood for daily access or every now and then with an email for our newsletter.
So let's dive into some story, I think, around this, because I think particularly I love the learnings that we get through Julie's stories. So can we dive in?
Stories, full stop. Yes, let's dive in. I still have some charged emotion about this story, so I should just put a disclaimer out.
Yes.
That my body is still cathartically working itself through. And what I want to pin with that is I had the drop in, it might have been this morning, was it last night? It might have been last night, of how purposeful this has been. So if you listen to the podcast, you know I went through adrenal exhaustion and extreme fatigue, finding my health again, had a huge detox and was wiped, like completely wiped to the point where I felt like I was bare to the world, peeking out through my own skin going, who am I? What am I doing here? Like felt like I'd shed so much of myself. I didn't know who I was. So I was in this super not low vibe, but fragile energy, conserving kind of space. And enter Saturday in junior sport. And I end up in this massive conflict with a coach on the opposition's team. And I was riled up and
so leading up to this, you're still just coming out like tender, gingerly, just
still feel like the butterfly out of the cocoon with the wet wings that haven't crinkled open.
That's fascinating that this whole thing transpires now.
Right.
We'll put that together a little at the end.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to pin it here because I also see the purpose in my body recycling this story.
Yeah.
And so this dropped in for me last night when, because every time I think about it, I get this flood of energy in my body. There is nothing, honestly, more satisfying than fuck you energy.
God, it's like on tap, right?
It's
like galvanizing.
Oh my God. You literally feel invincible, right?
Yeah.
And so there last night. I'm still riffing it out with my husband. And, you know, I've written my post and declaration out to the world. And I'm having these conversations with, you know, my people in my world.
Anyone who'll listen.
Right, pretty much. And
running your story.
And I'm like, woo, I feel better than, you know, the best, you know, high on life, drunk on the best champagne in the world at a dance party. Like, I feel amazing. And I had this moment where I was like, oh, I see this. Okay.
I see this.
Right.
This is called feeding off drama.
Right. But what I recognize is how perfect that is. So actually, it might have been Saturday night I had that drop in because it was Saturday morning this happened. And then Sunday I'm up at 5 a.m. because I'm driving my son and a teammate off for this state basketball thing that's in the country. And, you know, it's this big all-day thing. So I'm like, this is why I needed energy, because here I go, 5 a.m. in the car, packing the things, getting blah, 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 all me. And then I'm there and I have lunch with a beautiful friend and we talk about things that are hugely inspiring to me. And I'm like, more energy. I only have the energy to show up with a friend because I've got that energy sitting there. Me as the wet-winged butterfly just would like not have had the energy. I would have been sleeping in the car because the car trip would have been enough, right? So here I am back from that, still feeling really good. I have a fantastic night's sleep. Wake up this morning and I am channeling like a motherfucker. I don't know if you can say those two things together, but I just do. So I literally wake up to the most incredible for me, the most incredible downloads that take me about 5 pages of journaling just to get out of my brain.
That's amazing.
Amazing. So I haven't had that in this whole time. I've been like depleted. Haven't had that. And all of a sudden I'm like, boom, I am back, baby. I am here. Oh, thank you for that energy hit. Fuck me, this is fantastic.
Drunk on life.
I'm drunk on life. And happens to coincide with today. I spent all day in Monash Children's Hospital because my daughter was having a brain and spine MRI, which I have been preparing her for a really long time, and even preparing myself because it took me a really long time to even book the appointment because the mental load of that was full on. And it's a full on process, and managing her anxiety and every stage and every step and all of the maybes. And she has to spend 40 minutes strapped inside this machine with shit all over her head and noises like a jackhammer. Like, it's fucking next level.
Yeah.
And I have spent my whole day with my nervous system and preparation, managing that so well that she handled it like extraordinarily well. And I also I got home tonight and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I see that too. I didn't have the energy reserves to do that. Me as the wet butterfly. Me, high in my warrioress, no fucking worries, I've got you. Right?
You're invincible. You're still running on invincible energy.
So how universally perfect is that?
Amazing.
I literally couldn't have done what I did today if I didn't have overflowing energy reserves. And I did not have them on Friday. They were not in my body on Friday. Today's only, what are we, Monday?
Like, interesting. So is it really this guy, or is he just into the universe came through to you to be the, you know, kind of electricity socket you could plug into to get, you know, get your juice.
Right. Like, I just think we all have to take a step back sometimes and look at how the thing that we are perceiving is taking away from us or is challenging our top values is in actual fact completely purposeful, a co-creation that is necessary and works towards the development of your top values. Because I can completely see how it has. Like, bonded in relationship, bonded socially, had posts for my businesses, energy to carry my child through something that was really hard, both my children yesterday and today. Like,
you should be saying
thank you, sir.
Thank you to that.
Well, I'm not quite there.
I think you have some, appreciation to direct that way.
I have some appreciation. Yeah, I haven't quite done enough work for me to sit in a heart graceful spaces yet.
Yeah.
But what I can begin to see is the beauty of the higher orchestration.
So let's lead into the story then. Now.
Okay, let's lead into
so you and I, and anybody who follows you on Facebook probably knows more of the story, but let's just give us an overview of what unfolded on the basketball court.
So I have coached junior domestic basketball for, I was trying to work this out the other day, about 11 years. It's a really long time.
It is.
Every single week, 2 to 4 times every single week for 11 years. So it's been a while since I've been at this under 8s level, and that's the level that my third child is at the moment. And by the time, I remember with my first child and second child, when they were super little and doing all the junior stuff, it seemed like super, emotionally invested, and everything was huge highs and lows, and it seemed so important, and the wins and the losses seemed so, like, they seemed bigger than now me as a mum of a 15-year-old who we're going around state basketball with, looks at these tiny babies and under 8, and I'm like, oh, they're so cute. Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. So I can completely witness how I'm a completely different person in that space. So I get the parents that are a bit batshit crazy at your under 8s game. And let's face it, there's a lot of parents in junior sport that their kids would be better if they removed themselves from that space. There's a lot of vicarious living, and there's a lot of heightened emotions that are useful to the parents and not useful to the children that are playing. I've never seen team sport as something about winning and losing, though I'm not afraid of winning and losing. I've always seen it as an investment in what is this child growing and developing that is part of the team sport and what it offers. And I find that beautiful, like beyond beautiful. I can see so much growth in that space. And so that's what I love it for. So I have a team of under 8 girls who have never played before except for one child. And we rock up they train just in my backyard because it's COVID and we can't get a court anywhere. So every week they're hanging out in my backyard while we train on my little court here. It's super cute. And then Saturday mornings, I coach them. Anyway, we're at the pre-game warm-up. So you get half a court, you're just doing some shooting or whatever with your girls, like whatever. And I watched this man walk over towards me and I'm thinking, this is weird. This doesn't normally happen. So I turn around to him and look at him and smile. Hello. And instantly I can tell he's uncomfortable. So his voice is shaking. I can't know about his clammy hands, but I know that he has clammy palms. Like he's shitting himself on some level. And I find that always interesting. How should I preface that? A grown man who is struggling to have a conversation with a grown woman, I find fascinating. And I don't have a lot of patience for it. So I'm watching him and I'm listening to him, bumble his way around 1,000 sentences that essentially end in, we haven't even played yet. We haven't even stepped on the court yet. Can you maybe consider taking it easy on my girls? And if you the goals start kind of pulling away from us, could you just get your girls to go back and just give them a chance to dribble up the court, uncontested, blah, blah, blah. They haven't even played yet. Like, he hasn't even, we don't even know what's going to happen in the game. And there's this rule called the mercy rule. So in under eights, I don't know if it's the case in others. I'd actually completely forgotten about it because my kids are so much older. It doesn't occur in older levels, and I'd totally forgotten about it, to be quite honest with you. And if you get 20 points or beyond, the other coach has the option of instigating the mercy rule, which is everybody gets back to the half court or the 3-point line. So you just end up with a wall of defenders. Doesn't change the game. Nobody learns anything, complicates the game. You spend the whole time trying to get everyone who's completely confused about what's going on to do the thing that they don't do at any other point in any other space of basketball, so that Jimmy Little can dribble the ball uncontested, which you can do in your own house. Uncontested dribble of the court before it gets taken off them again at the halfway line. Whatever. And I looked at him and I smiled after listening to everything he had to say. And I grounded my energy and I put my hands behind my back so my body was super open. And I smiled at this 6'3", 140-kilo man. And I said, actually, I really hate that rule and I won't be doing that. And I'd love to tell you why. And so I told him why, essentially ending in, it doesn't teach them anything. They don't learn anything, and it confuses them. That's why I pick my weakest player to be on the side of the court and throw the ball in every single time so they do get touch of the ball. Well, I suppose that's a good idea. And he walks off completely unhappy with the fact that I've just said no to him. And I'm staying there going, sulky little boy who just turned away because I said I wouldn't play the way he wanted. That annoys me.
It's very impotent, isn't it?
Isn't it? So we play the game. My girls are crushing it, and it's about 16-0. And I've got about 3 players who are pretty strong, and they, despite the fact that only one of them has ever played before, they're actually really good and they shoot pretty well. And I spoke to them about, can we just change the game a little bit? And we try, there's 3 other girls on our team that have never got the ball before, and we try and get them some goals. So that happens at about halftime. So we basically make no goals for like a quarter, as these shooters that could easily have shot another 20 points are fumbling it around to the kids who are on equal par with these other kids on the court. And at some point in that last quarter of the game, each of these 3 girls who have never in the entire time we've been playing got their first goal ever.
Oh, cool.
Like, it was amazing. And so my Lola was one of those.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful. And then we hit 20 points. And this coach...
The mercy rule can be enacted once you're 20 points in the lead.
Yes, yes. So this coach and his whole team start screaming for the mercy rule. Now that's screaming for it. Yeah. They're super riled up by the fact that I said no.
Gosh.
So that's the ref. Like the basketball court is the ref's workplace.
Yeah.
I'm not going on to your workplace and telling you what to do. You got it. The girls will learn from you. All good. We can all just relax. The ref's got it. It's okay. No, this group of parents are pretty sure the ref didn't have it. And in fact, now this 6'3", 140-kilo man takes it upon himself to storm in a red-faced rage past his bench, past the centre neutral territory, which you should never go past if you were playing a game, of scorers, over onto my bench to stand over the top of me and yell at me about how I should be coaching.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
No. So I can remember having almost an out-of-body experience where I was like, no. And I literally remember standing up so slowly and silently, but I felt like my feet were in the very core of the earth.
Mm.
And I felt like I was about 8 foot tall. Like that's how grounded I was in this no. And I stood up. My energy must have spoken because I didn't say a word. I just stood up and eyed him and literally with my energy walked him back, this raging man, back to his bench, at which point I raised from the depths of my core with a pointed finger, I will not have a conversation with you. If there is one to be had, I will have it with the ref. And I sat back down on my bench again. This man didn't know what the fuck to do with himself, nor did his raging parents. Which I found a little bit humorous. And at the same time, there's like 2 minutes left in the game. The ref's sorting out the shit show that the mercy rule is because no one knows what the fuck is going on the court, which is why it's so confusing.
Yeah.
But that's cool. The ref can have that conversation with them and sort them out while these parents are going ballistic and yelling at me about how indecent I am, how unsportsmanlike we all are, because I'm not on the coach facilitating what the ref already has in hand. So I sat there and I talked to the girls I had on the bench and I smiled and I reminded myself that we are here to play a game, and 3 of my girls who have never in their whole time got a goal today, and this doesn't get to take away from that. So the game ends. And at the end of a game, you shake the hand with the other ref and you say, good game, or thanks for the game. And so do all of the other players.
The other coach.
Yeah. And so do all of the little players do with each other as well.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the game, sportsmanship. So I walk over to this man because he's not coming anywhere near me. And I put my hand out, good game. And he puts his hands down by his side, says, well, yeah, I guess it was something. And I just smiled and went, yeah. And went to walk away to say, turn my back to him to, greet all of the girls, his and mine, and say, great game, well done, blah, 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 which is what I do. Yeah. And as I've turned around to say that to the girls, he said some shit behind my back. And again, this roaring warrioress within me went, no. So I turned back around to this big man and I squared my shoulders to his and I placed my hands behind my back so my heart was completely open, because I'm actually consciously practicing this at the moment, how to be authentically grounded in the space of conflict so that I feel really solid in any decisions that are made in that space, because my programming is batshit fucking crazy. But what I want to be is solid in conflict.
Yeah.
And open, not like battleground closed. So I literally, hands behind my back, eyes fixed on him, said to him, how about you say that to my face? And this shit scared 14-year-old in the body of a giant, and I recognized it straight away. And I was like, there is nothing that shits me more on this world than a flaccid, impotent man trying to bully a woman. There is nothing
especially kind of trying to make his size do the work for him.
It was just, I was like, this is like I'm parenting you. This is like I'm parenting Heath, Would you like to say that to my face and have a conversation about it? And he looks at me like a deer caught in the headlights. Oh, well, and he bumbles something and then goes to turn his shoulder to me again, like turn away from me. Said, no, turn around, face me, say it to my face.
God, I love it.
Because I'm like, no, if you've got something to say, fucking own it.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise you shouldn't be saying it. I don't think he even had anything to say. It was so inconsequential, I couldn't even tell you what he said, except for the fact that I literally felt like I was parenting Heath. Because about 3 times in the course of him bumbling his way through that, I had to remind him to turn his body around and face me. Funnily enough, half the parents on my team didn't even know anything was going down, including my husband. And I was like, how did you not know that was going down? He goes, well, I thought you were talking for a really long time, but I was watching you and you were smiling and your body was open and you were nodding. I didn't know anything was going on. And I was like, oh, this is so good.
Isn't it cool though? Because that means your practice is getting
right. I'm like, because I felt really grounded in this. And in actual fact, other people are perceiving me grounded in this.
Yes.
This is, for me, the fruits of what I've been working on. So in the end, I can't even remember how it even ended, because after I've scolded this man and told him to turn around 3 times, I don't even think he knows what to do with himself anymore.
No, but then wasn't it the ladies in the back?
Yeah. But then he had the ladies in the back stall who thought they'd have some cracks at me as well. Which, again, I just smiled, listened, and responded. And the ref came up and he was like, yeah, was the 20-point rule? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. What exactly are we having a conversation about? The fact that I didn't say to my girls, get back, get back, get back. No, because the ref had that in hand and it confuses them. So because I didn't do that, they were telling me I was unsportsmanlike, and any decent person would do that. Which at that point I completely smiled, and I'm not even sure how the conversation ended because I was enjoying myself. I'm like, oh, you have no idea how indecent I am. If only you knew. This is the thing, when you own a trait.
Yeah.
Like, and someone calls you that, you're like,
Yeah. It's kind of like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's cool. No worries. Anyway, so that's my story, but I actually thought what I'd do is redo the post that I wrote to those parents in case you all missed.
Yeah, great idea.
On my Facebook page, because it sums up what I want us all to contemplate, which is really the deficit of over support and under coaching. So I'll just flick across and read that. Dear parents who love the mercy rule, it's not helping your child or you. Tell me, does it make your team more resilient or less? Does it build their ability to withstand disappointment or continue to perpetuate fragility? Does it help you and them focus on a growth mindset? Or does it keep you and them in cycles of scarcity? Does it make learning the game less confusing or more confusing? Is it teaching them skills or keeping them stuck in bad habits and preventing their rising to new skills and abilities? Do you spend your time coaching them, or do you spend your time focused on the other team's play? Protecting our children from disappointment does not help them. It hinders them now and into adulthood. And I want to highlight, in all my years of coaching and watching basketball, these kindness requirements have never come up in any of my son's teams or my husband's experiences. Never have I had these conversations, nor has my husband, in the spaces of boys and men's sport. But me, as a female coach, coaching girls, has come up against this more times than I can count. Why? Why do we not celebrate strength and success? Why are we so afraid of competitiveness that crafts excellence? Why does everyone need a trophy? Why do girls still need to play nice? Why can't they handle failure and disappointment? Are these not essential skills to develop in order to live a life of excellence? I think we need to collectively stop and ask ourselves why we hold the expectation that girls be nice, play nice, be fair, be compassionate to the other team's deficits and require that they mitigate their own strengths in accordance. What are we teaching our daughters and the women of the next generation? Your shine is too bright. Please dull it so others may feel better. You don't deserve to win when others are losing. You have a greater responsibility to caretake the needs of others than to act in accordance with your own. That your success and greatness cannot and will not be celebrated. Indeed, that your greatness is threatening to others and is dangerous for you. So don't be great. Be sweetly average. Be beige. Because we don't want nasty women in this society, do we? I'm not up for that, and I'm not in for it either. I happen to love the nasty women, the women who are not silent or silenced, the women who stand in their power and have the courage to say, this is me, and I won't shrink for you. Team sport, for me, is not about the mercy rule or keeping it even. It's about life skills. It's about developing an individual who has opportunities to grow emotionally, mentally, and physically, which serve them for the rest of their life. It's not about a fucking scoreboard. And I love it when we cream other teams. And I love it when we are the team getting creamed. Both are valuable to the growth of the individual. No one more than the other. So show up to coach if you are going to coach. You are influential in the development of young women. The question is, who are you developing? A fragile human who needs their pillow fluffed just right in order to be okay in the world? Or someone who gives their all, is not afraid to feel, to show up, or to celebrate greatness in others because it means nothing about them? Are you teaching these kids that the world needs their greatness? Or are they only allowed to be as great as the weakest denominator? I used to be kumbaya. I get it. I see your fear of their little spirits being crushed. But what I realize now is that was my own fear. It was not something my child needed to carry, or honestly, even felt or noticed. I projected that shit all over them. And if they did feel challenged by a crushing loss, I saw my role as a guide to their greatness. What did they need to handle these emotions? What did they need to improve in the weaknesses highlighted by this game? That's coaching. Saving them is not. Now I see team sport as an invitation into personal growth, and that's what I'm in to coach for. I'm in for the development of the next generation of women, courageous and open, but without the oppressive need to dilute who they are or what they're capable of in order to make someone else feel better. And I'm in for them learning how to handle their emotions and mind. Disappointment is perhaps the greatest learning for resilience, and this skill will save them over and over again in their own lifetime. Protecting your children from suffering does not help them. It hinders them. If I coach against you, don't ask me to consider the mercy rule before any of the girls have even played. Don't decide before the girls themselves have decided what they can and can't do and tried. And when the mercy rule is offered to me, I won't take it. Bring your best. I'm not asking you to shrink so others may rise. That's not how we rise individually or collectively. Shine. Let us see your brilliance, so we may know it is safe to see ours and have it celebrated also, instead of made wrong and asked to be tamed. And when it comes to your girls in sport, believe in them, see their strength, not your fragility. Meet every moment with, this too is a learning opportunity. Sincerely, that coach, Jules. So that's my post.
I love it. I love it. I love
That's
so
my
much.
why. And let me tell you, I have the child with the greatest amount of disadvantage and disability on that court.
Mm.
And
It's
I am
amazing.
not pro the mercy rule.
And it's just funny because it's amazing how you get to really experience the polarity, right? Like, so you have like the best on the court,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you have,
The
I
worst.
don't want to say the worst, but you know, but
I'm so fine to say that. She tries her heart out and she's like freaking improving every week, but she is still like any disadvantaged person, starting from a long, long, long way back with actually no ability to catch up.
Mm. So you could really easily crumble in the face of that and not want her to experience that and want everything adjusted for her to feel like
more support, more mercy rules so little Lola can bounce the ball halfway up a court. No, that is not helping her. That is hindering her. And I will not be the woman that stands here and says, we can only be great when you're less so.
Yeah.
I fundamentally have the greatest problem with that. Why don't we, like, I'm so fine with the same kid winning the trophy for best on ground year after year after year if they are truly the best on ground. Why can't we celebrate greatness?
And it's so true because, I mean, ultimately, like, you know, tall poppy syndrome says, oh, it should be someone else's turn, you know, or like, you keep always winning it. Yeah, because they're amazing.
Why can't they just be amazing at that and it not mean anything about you? That it teach you a whole lot and that your greatness, of which we all have, gets to be celebrated somewhere else.
Just like you celebrate Lola's greatness where her greatness lies, because it doesn't have to be in basketball.
It doesn't have to be there. But if I take you down for your greatness on the court, that's a pretty freaking big narrative for me to then try and break out of as an adult who doesn't want to be the person that's now cast out of society because they were too great. I fundamentally have a massive problem with that.
It's big.
Yeah. And more support doesn't help Lola. Loving her through challenge, offering her and guiding her with more tools so she may show up in that is what helps her and expands her world, not by trying to shrink it and mitigate it. That's not where power comes from.
How much do you see it as parents struggling with their own feelings about their child's disadvantage rather than the child's disadvantage in and of?
Oh, I think it's 100% that. If you looked at those girls on the court, I'm pretty sure none of them gave a shit.
Yeah.
But we have this fantastic way of making it about our children. We're going into battle for our children, but really we're not. And I would also say on the coaching thing, how about you show up to coach like I do every week? I don't care what the other team's doing. I care what my girls are doing and how each one of them has a personal goal to take each one of them a little bit higher than they currently are. That's a personal best. Who cares about the score?
Whereas otherwise I mean, like, it sounds like this other guy's coaching defensively based on what the other team's doing, not actually.
It's not even coaching. We had some video footage of those three girls. One of the mums took videos of the three girls' first goals and I was rewatching them and I'm like, oh my God, like, let me just give you a story. Lola, my daughter, her first goal. So Lola, most physically disadvantaged child on the court, slow and fumbles, right? So the ball gets thrown to her. She throws it up at the ring. It pretty much hits the top of the backboard and bounces backwards. Someone grabs it, throws it back to Lola. Lola drops it on the ground at the foot of three of their players. Lola picks the ball up in the face of their 3 players and dribbles 3 dribbles through their players uncontested to make her shot. How about you do some coaching and maybe you wouldn't lose by so much?
Ouch.
I'm sorry, but I was watching that going, you want to stand there and have a crack at me wanting to make my girls less great.
Yeah.
But how about you invest that energy in making your girls better?
I reckon I've watched 2 basketball games in my life, and even I would know that probably you should be getting onto that pretty quick.
I was going to say, it's Lola. Like, she is the slowest. Just, I mean, God bless her. I love her to pieces. But it really highlights how weak your game is if you are giving Lola an uncontested 3 shots at a ring, a ball on the floor, which her body works really slow and hard at to pick up, and 3 dribbles. Like, how about we do some coaching?
Yeah.
So I'm a little riled up about it.
So, listeners, can you see how this has given Julie an endless wellspring of energy? Because energy is infinite when you find that source.
Right.
And so like, if we narrow it down, so that's a beautiful principle that we can all remember is energy is infinite when we know the source of it, right? So you can just, it's there on tap. So what, if you could wrap it up into a sentence, what do you think the source of this is for you?
I actually just think it's really finding my power.
And it's elements of that tall poppy, like don't cut someone down in their greatness.
Yeah. Because there was a time I couldn't handle other people's greatness. And I think that's where kumbaya came from. You know, not kumbaya is in its original term, but my version.
I thought that was from you wanting to be gentle.
It was me wanting no one to feel bad. So if we just kept it all about celebrating everyone and everything being even and, you know, that would save them from feeling bad about themselves.
Because you didn't want to feel bad?
Yeah, I mean, I have a huge story on, you know, not being good enough or never being the best at anything or celebrated in greatness. Tall poppy in Australia, taken down anytime you're just a little bit too good, too beautiful, too whatever. Someone chips you down, right? And it's really been through the invitation of sport where I really get to see greatness. And then I started to see wider and apply that to business and to other women that I admired and loved. How could I admire and love them without self-minimizing myself? Because it was only my desire to bring myself out of the pit that made me want to take them down, find fault, right?
Yeah.
But if I can just love them in their greatness, see my own greatness, and know that I can be loved in the same way in mine, then there's nothing to protect myself from. I just think we have a massive problem with greatness.
Yeah.
And I just really, particularly now in this evolution of me and business and ambition and seeing the world in a different way, I want to be a champion for greatness. I want your greatness. I want my greatness. We don't get that by saying, please tie your hands behind your back so that I can do better. That's not how we get there.
No.
So fundamentally for me, I look at that and go, you get to be great and you get to be great. And please show me your greatness. Show me your greatness. Show me your greatness. Our world needs you, this tiny generation of humans right now, to be in your own greatness. And if we stand here and we yell and we scream and we argue and we tell you it's not okay, that you're so great, how will you bring that to this world? If you are scared of what happens when you're great. And it breaks my heart. I don't want to live in that world where we don't want people's greatness.
Yeah.
So
a lot of it, I mean, that's ultimately what it is fear. It's beneath so much of it, right?
Yeah.
You boil it all down. You know, like if you go back to what you were saying in terms of how can I admire and love them without self-minimizing, because the fear is if you truly saw somebody else's light, well, then you would throw yourself off a cliff because you could never be that. But yet their light is trying to awaken you to your own.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that you can't see it yet.
Exactly.
And same thing, you know, if you're scared of what happens when you're great, then you won't let yourself ever be.
You won't let yourself. Exactly. Exactly. If there's fallout of greatness, you won't let yourself. And if there's too much support, you don't grow, you don't learn, and you don't find your greatness. Yeah. You just stay stuck in shitty habits. That's my dog. So it's just not helping them. Like Lola will get better and my girls will get better when we go, yeah, you see what happened in that game? How about we work on that?
Yeah.
And they will find pieces of themselves that otherwise they would not find. And that's the beauty of competition. You rise in greatness. It's not about I win, you lose. It's about, yeah, turns out there's stuff I can improve on. I'm not perfect. Maybe that's okay.
And I mean, how important is that for constantly being able to put yourself forward to experience that?
For life, forever.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be perfect and for someone else to see your imperfection and say, hey, you know, we could do better here. Do you want to?
Yeah. And also just be a beginner. I've just started boxing, and I was laughing about the fact that I don't think I've sweated this much in a session of anything probably since I used to do boot camp, which was before CrossFit was even a thing. It was just so we could get a sense of how long ago that was. And the trainer had said, I'm not here to be your friend, I'm here to kick your ass. And I was like, yeah, I fucking love that. Yeah. And also that she
find your greatness, right?
Yeah, you find your greatness. And also she's
not giving you a mercy rule.
No. And also
she wants your greatness.
She wants my greatness. And also there was no leniency just because I'm the new person.
Right.
Like, I'm still working on my 200 burpees from today.
I hate burpees.
They're like the worst.
I know.
But I was like, yeah, like fucking like this, let's break myself into something greater through this process.
Exactly.
And be willing to be really shit and suck at it so I can get better.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We're all going to be the team that gets creamed or the body that collapses, right?
Yeah, yeah. Until we pick up the pieces and rebuild something greater from that.
Right. Until we get better, which we will, through the highlight of where we can grow.
Yeah.
That's nothing to be scared of. So I just think there's so many underlying philosophies in this and universal principles that we could talk about it till the cows come home. And we will in Soul Driven Motherhood. So this month we are running Elixir, the Wisdom series, where we are literally putting this into action, where we are owning traits that we see in the world around us so that it helps us rise and grow in what we're able to do, perceive, have, and be. And we're equilibrating our fantasies. So we're doing those through information workshops and through demonstration live facilitation.
Yeah. Yep.
So Soul Driven Motherhood is a content-rich space in which Bridget and I come to play with you. So if you are ready for a beautiful community of support for conscious motherhood and conscious self-awareness as it grows and develops, then it is 100% your space. And this month we're doing Elixir, which you will adore. It's just $39 for an entire month with 11 plus courses. We're in there. Starting next week, our podcast streams live in there, an incredible community of women and an incredible opportunity to really flip the way you see your reality right now. So come join us.
Yes. And connect with you, Jules?
Is julietenner.love. And you, Bridget?
BridgetWood.life. And remember, I know. We can find us at nourishingthemother.com.au. And remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
And if you're ready to ask, in what ways can I show up more fully, live more meaningfully, parent more wholly, and love more unconditionally? How can I mine the wisdom from the experiences of my life and expand into those challenges? Then you're a soul-driven, heart-led mama who's ready for conversations and a community that supports her journey. Come join Soul Driven Motherhood. We'd love to have you.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.